Good afternoon, everyone. Australian beef prices record high. Exports cut to 1990s levels. Tyson Foods, another wealth transfer, crushing estimates, all the while saying they're trying to stay in front of inflation, which is appearing not to be transitory, which is explaining why everything is costing so much more. Pipeline disruptions, gas prices up. Power outages after the hurricane, but at the same time, power outages disrupting half of the New York City subway at the exact same day and time. What's going on with the disruptions and the arm-twisting price rises? All of this Biden inflation tax talk, what's it really about? And more importantly, what's the actual effect of inflation on the lives of real people? Joe Biden claims that it's indisputable that his jobs plan is working. This data unequivocally shows that it's not. Well, at least for American workers. Rather, inflation is surging, and more than wiping out any wage gains these workers might have experienced. And historically, when inflation spikes, commodities like gold, silver, lumber, and real estate surge. Learn how simple it is to add physical gold and silver to your portfolio ahead of the rise in inflation and predicted price rises. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the no fee for life IRA. Call 1-800-356-4470 and get a free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer from 2016 to present, click on the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. And we're looking at a very dangerous animal here according to the IPCC. And the global resetters would like you never to ever taste beef ever again. You shall eat mealworms. Holy cow, Australian beef prices hit record high. Food inflation concerns persist. It's kind of an understatement. Until we come into a new monetary system, the hyperinflation will continue. This is the very cuspy cusp of these run-ups that'll bring us to like 100 million to 1, Weimar style, in a couple of years at the rate we're going now. Again, if we're going to swing back in cycles, the last time beef prices were hitting these types of highs, but obviously because there's more inflation, money's worth less today in the fiat realm of things, it's buying less. So it's going to cost more to get the same amount of a physical good. So taking it out of a numeral and a paragraph right here onto a chart, you can see prices more than doubling just in this year alone. And you look back 2015-16, you see another spike, a pullback, and this massive spike. Well, if there's another pullback and we're just following this same trajectory, then it looks like it'll be $20 to $25 on the next spike after the pullback, unless things are allowed to continue the way they are. These lockdowns are going to continue to disrupt everything left, right, and center, and these prices are never coming back down. See, this growing the food, having the inputs for cattle ranching, humans, animals, eating, exports, it's all disrupted. So we got to go all the way back into the late 90s to find low exports, which signals a gigantic problem. It's an inverse, though. When you see these hugely spiking prices upward, we're going to see huge declines in exports. So I'm wondering how that's going to work on the food end with wheat, corn, and soy as we get into this dismal yield at the end of the year here for the Northern Hemisphere. When it really boils down to articles like this, Tyson, nothing more than doing another wealth transfer because they can. You're going to pay money for food. You're going to starve if you don't pay the money. And it seems that corporate world is catching on to this. So Tyson, at least in the Reuters article and the bevy of announcements over the last month, if you've been following, keeps putting out news releases saying, we cannot increase prices for chicken and prepared foods fast enough to keep pace with rising costs for raw materials like grain. Again, all about inflation. Yet, The company reports higher than expected quarterly earnings. Now, if you would have left it that paragraph there, I would have said, they really must have front-run the inflation to earn more than they anticipated, complaining that they can't keep up with food cost rises, and I would have left it there. But then I was watching Charlie's video here at E.S.T TV. How far will they go, and are meat prices being manipulated? So he tore the article apart a little bit further into this right here. Again, the excuses are there's strong beef demand, citing Australia. Sales of steaks and burgers are going up because, as we see, beef prices rising, cattle herds being culled due to the droughts, import restrictions. There's all these other things that layer on top that seem to make sense. But then you look down in the actual numbers. So Tyson's talking about trying to front-run inflation. Quarterly sales climbed to $12.48 billion from $10 billion, approximately. That's a pretty large jump there to try to front-run inflation. But then here's the thing that's an ultimate slap in the face. And you know this is nothing more than a wealth transfer. And companies should be investigated at this point. There needs to be congressional hearings. I know that you're laughing when I even state that how could you expect a congressional hearing when most of the people are already receiving funds for their campaigns from these very same companies? But it's the point. This slap in the face here, Tyson shares increasing from $1.44 to $2.70 in the same time. Crushing, not beating, crushing the estimates of all the forecasters out there on Wall Street. The original estimate was $1.62, and they come in at $2.70. That's nearly $1 over. That's criminal there. The excuse is to front-run inflation. Oh, the costs of the grains are rising. We got to raise your prices. To raise the prices that much and pull the general populace over the coals, price gouging, investigation needs to happen. So with all these things going to the stratosphere for food, materials, this, that, and the others broken down in the supply chains, you know this inflation's not going to be transitory, as the talking heads would bobble again and again through the nightly newscasts. It's here to stay. And that little 6%, 4%, you're going to wish it was just that little by next year. If it's going up that much per week, this is where I would anticipate the end of 2022 to 23, if not more. And you'll understand why your food will be so expensive, why you might want to start to learn how to grow food right now. Now, jumping down to Louisiana, where Hurricane Ida made landfall. These are the pipelines here. Crude oil, another way to gouge the public. Now, you have to realize Louisiana, even though this map looks vast and with all the offshore oil platforms, there's really much more refining capacity in Texas. So the news is going to focus on this for a minute here, that, everything got closed off, the Covenant Terminal, everything's closed. Oil prices need to come up. Meaning your gasoline prices, you have about 2 to 3 days before the lag hits the markets and it start to price in this. So Loop, which was that entire pipeline system there that you saw, represents a refining capacity of about 1.1 million barrels per day. And then there's a whole list of the refineries here, from Phillips to PBF and Valero. But when you jump down to the Coverly Hub, which is in the center of that map there, another 1.4 million barrels. So what they're showing you right there is about 2.5 million barrels per day of the refineries and the production capacity that is definitely going to be taken offline for some period of time unknown. Because as we look here, almost everything in New Orleans has no power. Another levee breach, another flood, everything's out. It seems to be even worse than the Katrina debacle and the handling of it. And the refineries, I know they have their own power sources, but you can't be an island unto yourself. And there's going to be damage to some of the pipelines. So another wealth transfer is going to be this right here. They're going to explain it to Infinitum why your gas prices are going up to $3.50 based on this one event. Oh, wait, the Keystone Pipeline's shut down too. Well, maybe those two events then could explain it away. But what I don't get is at the exact same time, this disruption of half of the New York City subway system, electrical, at the same time the electrical disruptions in Louisiana, the disruptions in the pipeline, disruptions in the supply chain, disruptions in our economy and fiat currency valuations, disruption in production of food, disruption in processing of meats. And it seems the world is being planned to fail right now, on purpose, everywhere you look. I can't believe any of this is random or coincidental any longer in terms of handling of the basic infrastructure that keeps our society and our civilization moving. So how prepared are you for emergencies? Do you have storable foods? Adapt 2030 and My Patriot Supply, the 3-month emergency food supply, 25-year shelf life. Give yourself the peace of mind knowing you have storable foods when others might not, and you can ride out some of these emergencies. That link's in the description box below, along with all of the links and stories, images, graphs for tonight's video. I thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.